All right, guys, Fuller coming to you with another video. You know, we're in the month of Ramadan, and if you don't know me, you know that I practice Islam in the West African context. Which is basically the context of great African avatars like Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba, Rahmatullah alayhi, Uthman Danfodio, Rahmatullah alayhi, his brother Abdullahi Danfodio, Rahmatullah alayhi, El Hajj Umar Tall, Rahmatullah alayhi, and the list goes on. But I was having a conversation with a brother, and I asked him, like, do you think that the West is against Islam because of the alpha male aspect? Because gender roles are clearly revealed in Islam? And he said, absolutely. And I just want to go into some examples that we see right now, in our community, and in just society in general. To be honest, Islam does teach that a woman should, occupy the home in such a way where the home is like, how should I put it, a sound and stable place, where the home is a place of, security, stability, love, nurturing, and the like thereof, where the kids are brought up the correct way. But however, when you look at Western homes, it is anything but that for the most part. Because what has happened is that, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying that, they shouldn't do it. Because, a woman who earns her own money, she's entitled to keep her own money. But the whole problem is that it's gotten to a point where a woman is working so many hours that she doesn't have really much time for anything else. So if she does have kids, those kids are kind of like, most of the time, especially if a woman is working like 60 hours or even more a week, then those kids take kind of like second fiddle to what she has going on. Because raising kids is a job in itself as well. You know what I mean? So imagine working 40 hours a week, and then on top of that, having to raise kids because you decided that you wanted to buy into what they are presenting to you. You decided to buy into the feminism. You decided to buy into, women can do anything that a man can do. You bought into it, and because you did buy into it, you have now burnt yourself out, in essence. And then we look at the second thing that we see because of this whole thing. Islam, it encourages the man to be a provider. It encourages the man to have his stuff together. Meaning that in being a provider, he's the one who makes the lion's share. Meaning he goes out and get it. You know, it doesn't mean that he's like panhandling for donations. It doesn't mean that he is relying on anybody else to provide. It means that he goes out and gets it himself. You know what I mean? And so that encourages work ethic, right? And so when you look at it, when you look at the full spectrum of things, if you apply that to for example, a man of African descent, it goes against what is already said about him. He's called lazy. He's called like not willing to work. He's called all of those things, you know. But with this incentive to provide for his wife, he would be compelled to work. He would be compelled to do everything. Because here's another thing about it. You shouldn't just provide for your wife. You have to keep her up as well. Meaning that hair, nails, all of that. You have to keep her up. You have to keep her looking decent. That's a part of the deal. So, you know, if you have that going on, right, then that shatters what the mass media thinks about you anyway. You know? So that's why it's like they demonize it. You know, they demonize the deen for the most part. And we can understand why, because of that reason. It compels you to be a provider, you know. Another thing too about this is it actually sets boundaries for a man's nature. You know, I'm not saying that a man by nature is polygamous, because the thing is that if you can't take care of many wives, then you should just stick with one wife. And that's just how it has to go. But if you can take care of many women, then by all means, you can do it. But the problem the West has with that is it goes against what they're trying to do with us. And that is for us to not want women at all. And you see it. I mean, you see more. I mean, unfortunately, what has happened is that the you know, LGBT movement has hit the black community the hardest. You know, we've been affected most by it, and as a result, gender roles have been reversed. And I'm not going to much lie to you. And this is going to be sounding like very, very almost offensive, but gender roles have been reversed so much that sometimes when you hear a woman talk, I'm not saying all women, but I'm just saying like quite a bit, they have like a masculine voice. You know, it's because of the simple fact that we're in a situation where men are being programmed to be weak, you know, and because of that, you know, a female usually, because she has bought into the feminism thing, has become like somewhat manly, you know. And I'm not saying all women, but a good majority have, you know. But again, with Islam, there's clear, distinct roles. And then another thing that I think is the reason why it's attacked, it's because the modesty aspect. And you know, a woman should be modest, you know, in her dress and everything like that. And the reason why they, you know, the modesty should take place is because, number one, and this is not a simp, this is not me speaking on a simp perspective, but everything is pretty much beautiful about a woman. You know, like, I'm not gonna even lie to you. I mean, everything from head to toe, literally, is beautiful about a woman. You know what I mean? And guys, you know, guys are gonna react to that. You know, guys are going to physically react to the beauty of a woman. Now, the thing is because of what has been told, covering up is oppression in the Western world. But you know, you have what happens is you have women out there who like let it all go for all to see, and at the same time they let it go for all to see, but they expect to be respected like royalty. And it's like, I don't know why you expect that when you've like just shown it off, you know. And so that's one thing that I realized about the whole game, you know. Another thing too that it emphasizes, and I think this is the reason why, you know, they attack it so much, is that, you know, we're all just like people. And so when women have like these titles like goddess, like queen and stuff like that, like empress and things of that sort, you know, they're just making it more difficult on themselves, because of the simple fact that, you know, I'm just gonna be real, like no honest stand-up guy is gonna want to put up with that, you know, because, you know, you may say my queen and my king, but the actions have to speak otherwise, or the actions have to speak. You know what I mean? Not just the empty words. But a lot of people are caught up on the empty words. And I also want to go back to the simple fact that, you know, it promotes chastity too. And so, you know, in being, like, for example, being a chaste woman, goes against what is being shown. You know, as I said earlier in one of the videos that I did a while back, and I'm not going to make her famous, but one woman said that it was okay for a woman to ride the cock carousel and then decide that she wants to settle down. And I think she was alluding to that it's okay to ride the cock carousel and have kids in the process of riding that carousel, and then deciding to settle down, bringing your kids with you in settling down with a guy who has not even produced kids with you, but you decided that you wanted to mess with someone who in essence is rough around the edges, but appeal to you right then and there. That usually is what happens. And then a nice guy is left with that burden. You know what I mean? And that's just how it works most of the time. And so when a woman is covered up, when a woman is modestly dressed, it gives the guy like not only like a sense of respect for that woman, but it also leads to that guy not even just looking at her figure, but looking at her mind, what she is about, And so when you have these ideas, okay, when you have this idea that a man should provide for the woman, and a woman should look after the house, because of the Western society, this has been looked at as like you're being a misogynist, you're being this, that, and the other, right? But what's happening now, and this is what I see happening, because these women, and I'm just gonna keep it a buck. You see, like and this is by no means me talking about like swirling or anything like that. I'm not saying that, but you see that like different women, for example, like Young Jeezy. Young Jeezy married the Asian woman. You see a lot of Arab women, they get married. You know what I mean? But what's happening now is that a lot of black women, especially in this country, in the United States, they're ending up single. And the reason why they're ending up single most of the time is because of these attitudes that will not allow the man to be the provider. You know what I mean? Will not allow the man to be the head honcho. Will not allow the man to step into his greatness. You know what I mean? Because of those attitudes, that's why they are single most of the time in high numbers. And one thing that occurs as well is because he most of the time they will have the bag, is that you have these swirlers who will swirl with like the white dude who is a beta, but they will still treat him as like, treat him pretty good though. So I look at this and I realize that is the underlying issue, because I'm looking at what's going on these social media channels and these in this conscious community, which I'm not a part of. by the way. And I just see the cycles repeating themselves over and over again. You have people who are just perpetuating the agenda in which this country is like trying to impose. You know what I mean? And so when the whole thing, the whole issue, I think, and I'm going to end the video with this. The whole issue is that gender roles have not only been reversed, but they haven't been defined. I mean, you know, for some reason, you would have to redefine gender roles in this day and age. You know, but me, I still stick with the traditional African gender roles where a woman is in the house taking care of the house and the man is out getting the bread. I stick with that. You know, and that rubs a lot of people the wrong way. You know what I mean? And also, the fact of the matter is that as men, we know what we're going to deal with when we're dealing with women. However, it still doesn't give a woman an excuse to just be spiteful for no reason, saying things that you've never done anything, like you've never done anything good for me, or, you know, just saying these things, you know, utterances. And so I think that the underlying threat is like the traditional Islam African manhood. Because, you know, when before colonialism, you know, I mean, you kind of had to be alpha to like lead like wars and, you know, also fight against colonialism, like some of our people did. You know what I mean? You had to have that alpha frame. But because, you know, this has been taken away with the feminist movement and the like thereof, you know, this is why relationships are out of whack right now. You know what I mean? And as a result of that, you just have all this funny stuff happening right now, you know. And that funny stuff I'm not a part of whatsoever. But anyhow, man, this is just a video that I was doing because I was thinking about it. You know, I was just thinking about like people, you know, I'm gonna try to just be politically correct. Like people who were in cults and then they left cults and they feel like they're entitled to, you know, the cream of the crop, and they're not entitled to that at all. You know what I mean? When it comes to men, that's what I'm referring to. You know, and I was just thinking about how, like, if gender roles were better, how much easier it would be. You know, but it's just not going to be that. In fact, it's going to get worse, unfortunately. You know, but I mean, all we can do is just like stay focused and keep our eyes on the prize. And I'm talking to the ones who are like the men. I'm talking to the men who are like into traditionalism. You know, I'm talking to those men. I'm not talking to these new ones, you know, who let women walk all over them and stuff like that, you know. And that's pretty much all I got to say about this issue. Again, I said it before, I'll say it again. Traditional African manhood until I die. High caliber women until I die. No women who ride the cock carousel and have community service between their legs until I die. Fula signing out. Njara.